Okay, so if you bought one of these Mechmaxx sawmills, this is Mechmaxx 32. So far I've used it one time. I cut some cherry planks in the back, some cedar there. I'm going to be using these to make signs with, but just a few things you should know if you buy one of these. The instructions that are in the crate itself are absolutely horrible. Um, Something you should know right off, inside the manual box, there's a better set of instructions than what you'll be working off of if you use the instructions that are in the crate itself. So use that one out of there. It's got a little more detail, but you're also better off watching some videos. One of the things I wish I'd known right off the bat, this is my first sawmill, and it was actually the very first time I'd ever even been around one that was in operation. I'm going to be loading logs from over there. I literally have a stack of cherry, walnut, cedar, and oak out in my driveway. And I'm going to be bringing it back and putting it onto these bricks. So I wanted to load from this side. So initially, I had the bunks with the stops over here so they wouldn't be in the way when I was loading logs. I quickly found out if you're standing behind the head, the blade pulls from right to left. So I had a cedar log about that size on here, and it grabbed it through the whole thing sideways. So I just took all the bunks off and turned them around so the stops are on the correct side. Another thing is the joints for the tracks here. So I had these set to where they're completely flush on the top, and when they're flush on the top, the humps in here from when they bent this track, because this is not true angle, they bend it. So there was a bit of a hump in here, and anytime the roller hit it, it would just catch. You had to put some pressure to it. It's kind of like a thump thump. So I did take this bunk off again, and I took a grinder and I lightly ground both sides of this. And now when you roll across here, there's nothing. So that's something else to keep in mind. Another thing I found out after I started cutting on those cherry planks, I don't know if you can tell, they're uneven. The reason for that is the blade was a 1/2 inch off from factory. So how I found that was I put it right over the bunk, measured from here up and from over there up. And I done that on 3 bunks, and all 3 of them came out the same way. This side was 1/2 inch off. So using the nuts on the bottom of this, I adjusted the cable. We're perfectly in line now. Another thing I learned after I sliced my first 2 logs and had my first screw up, I would strongly advise taking your stops out, getting some wood, and cutting you some wood boards about the same length as those stops at 1 9/16 of an inch. Rip them down, 1 9/16 square. That way, if you hit the blade on your stop while you're learning, you don't tear up your blade. I thought I had this all figured out, and on my 3rd cut, you can kind of see some of the teeth are missing. Now this blade will still cut because I caught this really quick, so it only hit from about there to there. There's a lot of vibration in it, so I've already got new blades on the way. But that quick 1/2 second hit damn near cut this in half. So that's something else to watch out for. And also, I don't know why they do it. I'm sure there's some good reason. But in the instructions, it shows you laying the track out, putting the bunks on, and then putting the leveling feet in. That shit is horrible. if I'd done another one of these, I would get the tracks mounted together as flush as possible. There's a plate that goes underneath here on both sides. You can put the outer 4 bolts in, but I would get these as flat as possible. Go ahead and put the legs on, level up the tracks as much as you can. I mean, it's not going to be perfect because you don't have the bunks in yet. And then install the bunks. It is so much easier. The other thing I did differently was, because this is just kind of a home hobby thing, I do not have a loader of any type. I move these logs manually, and this weighs a lot. So it took me and another guy to get this thing stood up on the tracks, and it was rough. I would advise, if you're going to try to do this by yourself, or even with one other person, to put some pads and some wood down on the tracks, lay the head unit down on the tracks, assemble it, and then stand it up. We built this out there, and then to get it on the tracks, we brought it over, laid it over, slid it forward on wooden blankets, then we stood it up into place, and it was rough. So be prepared for that. Other than that, the thing works friggin' awesome. I do have to make one other adjustment, because as this comes, well, I mean, you can see the cable here is not correct there. So I do need to pull the throttle cable a little bit tighter. But the other thing that you're going to want to keep in mind is there's a lot of complaints online about backfiring. So when you let off of the throttle when you're cutting a board, the thing goes like bam, bam, real loud. From what I've seen, the carburetor needs to be adjusted, and I have not done that on this yet, but they say it's the air fuel mixture is what's causing it, and you would think they'd have that issue rectified before they ship these things out, since so many people complain about it on the internet. But other than that, this thing, I like it. For the price, you can't beat it. I can't even remember what this is considered, a 10-foot model or something like that. And I did, like I said, got the 32-inch one. 100% satisfied with it on day one. I mean, all the mess ups were with the wood was my fault. I should have measured the blade before I ever used it. I should have watched better on the stops when I hit it with the blade. But overall, it's a good deal. The instructions suck, but you know, that's like that with a lot of stuff that's made overseas. So if you get one of these, have fun.